She's looking just past the camera. Then, without moving her eyes, the fears people talk about are rarely the ones running the show. Heights, spiders, flying, those get named. Those get joked about. Those have a face and a shape and a word. But the ones that actually determine how you live, who you let in, what you reach for, when you stop, when you never start, those ones don't usually get said out loud. They live underneath the decisions. They work from inside the reasons. You never call them fear. You call them practicality, caution, knowing yourself, just not being that kind of person. But they're fear, 6 of them, and they are running more lives than most people would be comfortable admitting. She begins, no announcement, just the first one. The fear of being truly known, not disliked, known, because being disliked can be explained, can be attributed to them not understanding you, or catching you at a bad moment, or simply not being your kind of people. There's distance in being disliked. The real you, the full you, is still protected somewhere they can't reach. But being truly known, letting someone see the whole of it, the contradictions, the failures, the smallness you're not proud of, the needs you pretend you don't have, and having them choose to stay or choose to go based on that actual information. That is exposure with no protective distance. And most people never risk it. They stay in the outer rooms. They offer curated versions. They keep just enough back that if someone leaves, the real self wasn't the thing that got rejected. And they call it privacy, or being a private person, or just not wearing their heart on their sleeve. But it's fear. Fear that the full version of them is too much, or not enough, or simply, finally seen and found lacking. Then wanting something and not getting it. So they stop wanting things. And this is one of the most quietly devastating ones, because it looks like contentment from the outside. Looks like someone who is easy, who doesn't need much, who has made peace with life. But underneath it is a person who learned at some point, from disappointment, from loss, from the specific cruelty of hoping hard and being wrong, that wanting is dangerous. That the bigger the want, the bigger the wound when it doesn't come. So they compress the wanting, keep it small and manageable. Don't let themselves get excited about things. Don't let themselves plan too far ahead. Don't let themselves believe that the thing they want most might actually be available to them. And they lose twice. Once when they don't get the thing, and once every day they don't let themselves want it. I lose the fear of becoming their parent. Not always a bad parent. Sometimes just a parent who was unhappy or stuck, or who lived a life that looked like a warning. And the child watched, and something got decided. Quietly, without ceremony. Probably before they had the language to name it. I will not be that. I will not end up there. I will not make those choices or repeat those patterns or arrive at that particular version of a life. And the decision was good. The intention was right. But fear as a compass points away from things, not toward them. And a life spent running from the shape of one person's life doesn't always end up somewhere chosen. It ends up somewhere opposite. And opposite is not the same as free. The fear doesn't liberate them from the parent's life. It just makes the parent's life the permanent reference point. The thing they're always measuring against, always moving away from, always making sure they're not. And you cannot build a life entirely from what you are not. The fear of being ordinary, and I'm not talking about ambition. Ambition is something else. Ambition moves toward. This fear moves away from the feeling of being unremarkable, unspecial, one of many rather than one of one. And it drives people in ways they don't examine, makes them perform, makes them unable to rest, because resting looks like giving up the claim to being something more, makes them uncomfortable in their own quiet life, because quiet looks like settling, makes them compare constantly, because comparison is how they locate themselves on the map of who matters. And underneath all of it is this question they won't say out loud. What if I'm just not that interesting? What if the life I'm living is not a story worth telling? What if ordinary is all there is? That question, unasked, shapes everything. And the answer, which is that ordinary is where most of the actual living happens. That unremarkable Tuesdays are where most of love lives. That being one of many is not a failure of being. That answer never gets found because the question never gets asked. The fear of running out of time, not death, specifically time. The years behind you compounding, the things not yet done getting heavier. The window that feels like it's been closing your whole life and you still haven't gone through it. And this fear does something specific. It paralyzes the very action it's demanding. Because the urgency of running out of time can be so loud that it drowns out the ability to choose a direction. You know you need to move. You just can't figure out where. And while you're figuring out where, more time passes. And the fear gets louder. And you move less. And some people spend years, decades in that loop, haunted by running out of time, unable to use the time they have because the fear of losing it takes up all the room. The time fear and the wanting fear together are a particularly cruel combination. Don't let yourself want things, but also panic that time is running out. So now you're urgent about nothing, moving fast toward nowhere. This is the one she came here to say. The fear that it is already too late. This one is different from the others. The others are about what might happen. This one is about what already has. The conclusion drawn somewhere and never revisited, that the meaningful window has closed. That the version of life where things could have gone differently has already passed. That the person they were going to become if things had been different, if they'd been braver, luckier, less damaged, better supported, that person is no longer possible. That version of the life has expired. And so why start? Why open a door? Why want something new when wanting something new at this point just means grieving later. This fear is the quietest of the six. It doesn't announce itself as fear. It announces itself as realism, as having learned something, as being past the age of foolishness. But it is fear, the most immobilizing kind, because it doesn't just stop the future, it retroactively dims the present. Everywhere you look, you see not what is, but what didn't happen. And here is what I want to say to that fear specifically. It is lying to you, not about the time that passed. That part is real. Not about the things that didn't happen. Those are real too. But about whether any of that means the window is closed. It doesn't mean that. It just means you're further in than you thought you'd be when you finally decided to go through it. Like she has nowhere else to be. 6 fears, all of them unspoken, all of them fluent in the language of reason so they never have to admit what they actually are. And you cannot address a fear you have not named. You cannot walk towards something you've convinced yourself is just being realistic. So name them, even just to yourself, especially just to yourself. What are you not saying out loud? What is it actually? She holds the silence after that, lets it stay, then looks away.